Today we are doing lesson 8.9 in our Go Math book, and we are learning about how to display measurement data. The essential question is, how can a line plot be used to show measurement data? We're on page 421. So on the front page here we have 3 pieces of yarn, and they just want us to use an inch ruler and to measure and record each length. I just want to remind you, when you're using a ruler, lots of boys and girls want to start at the number 1, but then that's not using this part of the ruler. You need to begin at the beginning of the ruler to measure how long that yarn is and use all of the ruler. And this one is about 5 inches long. The yellow one is about 2 inches. And the last one is about 3 inches. So let's turn our paper over. We're going to the top where it says Model and Draw. And today we're going to learn about a line plot. It is a way to show data. On this line plot, each X stands for the length of one paintbrush in inches. So the title, or the name of our line plot, is Lengths of Paintbrushes in Inches. That's what this is all about. So this shows me that I have one paintbrush that is 5 inches long, because I only have one X. I have 2 paintbrushes that are 6 inches long. I have 3 paintbrushes that are 7 inches long. How many are 8 inches long? Just one. How many are 9? There aren't any. I have 1 that's 10 inches long and 1 that's 11 inches long. So how many paintbrushes are just 6 inches long? Right there. There are 2. And how many different paintbrushes are shown in this data? So when they ask you how many there are, you're going to count the number of X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They measured 9 paintbrushes, but they're all different lengths. And so they took that data and they put it on this line plot. All right, it says use an inch ruler, measure and record the lengths of 5 books in inches. I've already done that, and I had a book. My first book was 6 inches, the next one was 9, the next one was 6, then 10 inches, and then 8 inches. So I measured 5 books. Okay. It says write a title for the line plot. So what is it that we are measuring here? We are measuring books, right? So it is lengths of books in inches. Lengths of books in inches. Now, when I am going to label what each one of these is, I'm always going to start with the smallest number that I have up here in my information, in my data. And my smallest number is 6. And I'm going to go across, counting by ones, until I fill in the last blank. So 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I'm going to draw my X to show my data. So I have one book that is 6 inches, so I'm going to put an X there. One book that is 9, put an X there. Another book that was 6, so I'm going to go back to the 6. One book that was 10, and one book that was 8. Now, I measured 5 books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I should have 5 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So if I look at my data, I had 2 books that was 6 inches long. I have no books that are 7 inches long. There's no X there. I have one book that was 8, one book that was 9 inches, and one book that was 10 inches. So we have just created a line plot that uses this data that we have here, this information. So we're going to go to the next page, which is 423. And it says use an inch ruler, measure and record the lengths of 5 pencils in inches. I have done that. So I'm going to say the first one was 7 inches, the second one was 5 inches, the next one was 3 inches, that's a short pencil, then 7 inches and 5 inches. So what are we measuring here? It tells us right here in the problem. Lengths of pencils in inches. So that's our title. Lengths of pencils in inches. If you need to pause the recording so that you can get that written, go ahead and do that, and then come back on when you're ready to go. So I've told you that I want you to take this data and look at the numbers and start with the smallest number. So the smallest number we have here is 3. So we're going to start with 3 and count. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So now I want you to go ahead and we're going to put in this data on our line plot. So we have one pencil that's 7, so 1x there. One that's 5, one that's 3, one that's 7, and one that's 5. So we measured 5 pencils and we have 5 X's. When I look at my data, I have one pencil that was 3 inches, none that were 4. I have 2 that were 5 inches, 1 that was 6, and 2 that were 7. Number 5 says use an inch ruler, measure and record the lengths of 4 crayons. So I've done that, and the first one was 4 inches, 5 inches, 3 inches, and 4 inches. So what are we measuring? What's the title of this? It tells us right here. Length of crayons in inches. Lengths of crayons in inches. And I need to start with the smallest number. The smallest number here is 3, 4, 5. I know I don't have a 6 up here, but I need to fill in that last blank, so 6. So if I put my information on my line plot, I put an X above the 4, an X above the 5, an X above the 3, and an X above the 4. So this data tells me that I had one crayon that was 3 inches, 2 crayons that were 4 inches, 1 crayon that was 5 inches, and I had none that were 6 inches. Turn your paper over. We're on page 424, and it says use the data in the list to complete the line plot. So lengths of ribbon, 6 inches, 5 inches, 8 inches, 7 inches, 6 inches. So I want you to go ahead and give this a title. What's this data all about here? It tells you right there in the green box. Then remember to start with the smallest number and fill it across, and then put your X's up here to show your data. And when you're done, you should have 5 X's because there are 5 measurements here. Number 7, the hot question says, suppose there were 2 more ribbons that were each 7 inches long. So let's suppose that we added 2 more here, and it was 7 inches and 7 inches. How would you change the line plot to include this data? What would you do to the line plot to show that? And number 8, use the line plot. How many leaves are 4 inches long? So the title of this is lengths of leaves in inches. And they want to know how many leaves are 4 inches long. When you have completed that, your assignment will be done.